Start.
Hi everyone, welcome to the video lecture. In the last video we have just discussing about the memory devices on a computer, and in that memory devices we have two different types. One is a internal and another one is a secondary memory. Where in a internal memory we are getting a three different types, like one is a registers, another one is a cache memory and primary memory. Where in a last video lecture we are discussed about a registers and a cache memory. What do you mean by a register and what is the different types in a registers and cache memory? What is the features of a cache memory and different types in a cache memory? In this video lecture we are going to discuss about a primary memories, where primary memory is nothing but a main memory. It's a type of a primary internal memory, and it's also called as a main memory of a computer. And in this main memory we are getting a two different types. One is a RAM and another one is a ROM. This primary memory is a type of internal memory, and it's also called as the main memory of a computer. It has the two different types. One is a RAM and another one is a ROM. Where RAM means random access memory, and ROM refers to read only memory. And we have a brief explanation about these two memories now. RAM is also called as a volatile memory, because when we are using the RAM with the CPU, this will increases the speed of the processing speed of a CPU, because when any data and instructions needed by the CPU is directly provided from the RAM to the CPU, so that the where the speed of the RAM will be directly affects the speed of the CPU. That's why we used to call it as a volatile. And one another meaning for a volatile we have is when the power of a computer goes off, the RAM automatically distracts the data within it. That is, it will used to erase or used to delete the data in it. It is need a continuous power supply to retain the data in it. So for that reason we used to call it as a volatile memory, and it is an expansive one. RAM is a expensive compared to the ROM memory, and it is speed memory or a fast memory we used to say, and it is directly attached with the CPU. It will retains the data what is needed by the CPU. Yes, we know that RAM is a volatile memory, and main thing of a RAM in the CPU or else in a system, it will contains a operating system. That is, it will whenever the computer switches on, the operating system will be loaded into the RAM, and that will causes a running of your computer. Run of your computer will be caused by the RAM, which is loads the operating system as well as the application softwares in your computer system. Application softwares. Just you have heard about a RAM. I hope you have heard about a RAM in a phone storage also. Phone memory or a phone storage also you have heard about a RAM, in the sense it will be helpful when running a operating system and application software. For that reason it is needed of a continuous power supply in it, and it will causes the speed or a increment of a CPU processing. CPU processing speed will be caused by the RAM. And next one, primary memory. Type of a primary memory is ROM. Second one, read only memory, and it is useful to loading a boot firmware. ROM is helpful in loading a boot firmware. It is also called as a BIOS, where basic input output system, and this will be tells us the hardware specifications. The ROM is mainly useful to say the user about the hardware specifications and what are the available hardware connected to the computer system or correct requirements or not. This is done by a ROM, and it is mainly called as a process of boot firmware. It is also called as a BIOS. BIOS, it is loaded into the ROM whenever the computer starts. The BIOS will be runs and tells the user about the hardware specifications needed for the current computer. That's the main thing about the RAM. And we have different types of RAM. In a primary memory, we have a different types of RAM. First one is a DRAM, that is dynamic random access memory, or else you can say it as a dynamic RAM, and these abbreviations are very important for the competitive exams too. For the competitive exams also, these abbreviations are very important. Just focus on it. First thing, DRAM is a type of a RAM or an internal memory or a primary memory, you can say, and it's works with a different collection of different memory cells. Memory cells, collection of memory cells is called as a RAM, and depend upon a manufacturing components, we used to divide these different types of RAMs. Manufacturing devices, based on manufacturing, we used to divide the different types of RAMs. First one, DRAM is made up of different number of memory cells, and these memory cells consists of transistors and the capacitors. These memory cells consists of transistors and capacitors, and these transistors will be collected as a matrix of rows and columns, which means these transistors in the memory cells of a DRAM will be collected as a matrix like this. Number of transistors will be collected as a rows and columns. Just I am showing you a sum of a matrix having 3 by 3 rows and columns. These stars will represent you the transistors, and each transistors will be paired with one capacitor in a memory cell of a DRAM, and where these transistors will be works as a switch. These transistors will be works as a switch, and for which it is a switch in the sense it will use to on or off the particular memory cell in a DRAM, which will useful as a switch for switching on and switching off of a particular memory cell. And capacitor, as you know, the capacitors are useful in storing the electronic signals. Which electronic signal means it is nothing but in a computer science it is called as a data. Useful in storing the data, which is called as the electronic signals. Capacitors are useful in storing the data itself. Data in a particular memory cells. This is what the memory cell consists of, a pair of transistors and a capacitors. It is all about a DRAM. And one thing about a DRAM is it needs to be refreshed all the time. It needs a refreshment to store the data in it all the time. So automatically all the DRAM type of DRAMs will be refreshed thousands of times every second. Thousands of times these DRAMs used to automatically refresh in the computer system, so that it is somewhat slower compared to the other different RAMs. It is somewhat slower memory. This is the one about dynamic RAM. And we have a next one, different type of a RAM. Second one we will discuss. Yes, SRAM is a second type of a RAM, which is also called as a static RAM. Static RAM, which means as like DRAM, it also contains transistors and capacitors. Transistors and the capacitors, but the difference in a DRAM and a SRAM is it contains a number of multiple transistors in a single cell. That means around 2 to 4 transistors in a single memory cell, and that may be that is not compulsory contains a capacitor in each memory cell. It contains a multiple transistors in a single cell, but there is no mandatory of containing a capacitors in each cell. That is the difference between a DRAM and a SRAM, and it is not need to be refreshed all the time. No need of a refreshing all the time. When the data is in the SRAM, there is no need to be refreshing for the staying of a data with the SRAM. That is the one thing. And there is no refreshment, as we know, there is no refreshment is needed for a static RAM. It will be faster as compared to the other type of RAM. Other type of RAMs, it is a faster, and the speed of this one is a 2 to 20 nanoseconds, and the speed of a DRAM is a 50 to 150 nanoseconds. This is the speed of DRAM, and this is the speed of a SRAM. This is about all thing about SRAM. This is the second type of a RAM, and third type of a RAM we have, that is a SDRAM. SDRAM, which means the abbreviation of a SDRAM is a synchronous dynamic RAM. I will use to write a RAM, just you expand it as a random access memory, where this synchronous dynamic RAM is same as that of a DRAM. But only the simple difference between a DRAM and synchronous dynamic RAM is it is synchronous with the system clock. It is synchronous with the system clock. It means the CPU always will be synchronized with the RAM, where SDRAM is synchronized with directly with the CPU. That will help the RAM to know next requirement data of an CPU. The synchronous, as it is a synchronous dynamic RAM, so it is very helpful in knowing what is needed for the CPU, what data is needed for the CPU in a next clock or a next section. In a next section, which data is needed for the CPU is directly known by the SDRAM. And this type of RAMs are used in a cache memory, and which is a very high speed memory one. This SDRAM type are used in a cache memory, which is very speed as a accessing mode, and this is a system clock. It is synchronizing with the system clock, that will indirectly says you it is synchronized with the CPU. And this is about a SDRAM. And fourth one, we have one more type of a RAM, which is a DDR-RAM. double data rate expanded as a double data rate random access memory, double data rate random access memory, and this is same as that of a DRAM. Again this works as a DRAM only, but the speed, accessing speed of a data will be double compared to the SDRAM. The only thing is the accessing speed. Accessing speed is double as compared to the SDRAM. When you compare the accessing speed of this DDR-RAM with the SDRAM, it is double times the SDRAM speed. This is accessing speed. This is the only difference between a DDR-RAM, DRAM and the SDRAM. This is the only one difference between a DDR-RAM, DRAM and SDRAM. DDR-RAM is expanded as a double data rate RAM. This is all about a memory, that is only a internal memory. Internal memory, we have the three different types. One is a register, one is a cache memory, and another one is a primary memory. In primary memory, you are getting two types of memories. One is a RAM and another one is a ROM. In a RAM, which is called as a volatile memory, ROM, which is also called as a non-volatile memory, and RAM contains four different types of memories. One is a DRAM, dynamic RAM, SRAM, that is a static RAM, SDRAM, synchronous dynamic random access memory, and final one is a DDR-RAM, which means a double data rate random access memory. And let us look about a power supply of an power supply to the computer. For the when you were just going with the explanation of a power supply, we need to know what is the necessity of a power supply to the computer system. Any of a electronic device, let us talk about an electronic device, which is computer is also electronic device. When you are just learning about any electronic device, you have to know that power or electricity is an important thing to run the devices. As we know that computer is also electronic device. Computer is also an electronic device, so it need a power supply. And power supply to the computer is done through two ways. One is a SMPS way and another one is a UPS way. What it means SMPS and UPS in the sense, it is a switched mode power supply. I will explain you what it means, switched mode power supply. Mode power supply. And UPS means for a uninterrupted power supply. Let us discuss one by one. First one as a SMPS. SMPS is nothing but a, have you seen a metal box at the rear end of a CPU? SMPS is resides at the rear end of the CPU. It will be looks like this. SMPS looks like this, and it will contains one fan at the rear end and the power connector, like this three port is there. This will be called as a SMPS, and it is resides at the back end of the CPU. That CPU box will be contains at the rear end like this, which is called as a SMPS. It is a one type of a power supply to the computer, which is expanded as a switched mode power supply, and it will be helpful for converting the AC current into the DC. AC current to DC current, that is a alternative current to the direct current, and this AC will not properly works for the any electronic device. It will be for the prevention of a power loss. Just we are transferring the power as a AC. Okay na? For the prevention of a loss of power, just we are transferring as a AC. But when you are providing this AC to the any of the electronic device, you need to convert it to the DC. That's what happening in a SMPS. This will just convert the AC current into the DC current, and it need of around the 300 watts. 300 watts of a current, at least minimum 300 watts of current is needed for computer system to run on it. And AC current normally will provide 230 volts, not a watt, it's a volts. Normally in our homes we are providing with a 230 of volts. It will be converted into the DC current as a just around 2 to 4 watts. Sorry, this is a watt ampere, which is around equal to around 300 watts, which is needed for our computer system. This is what happening in a SMPS. Just you have to remember one thing. It will use to convert a AC current to the DC current, and it will resides at the rear end of the computer system or a CPU, you can say. And when the AC current is directly provided to the electronic circuits, it will works properly. This is the one thing you have to remember about a SMPS. Let us look about a UPS. SMPS is only the thing just it used to convert a AC current to the DC current. When there is a no power or a power losses time, it may be a causes a loss of data. Losing the data will be causes by the power loss, because some of the memories like a RAM will not works at a power losses. At the time of power losses, the RAM will not work, and data which is at the RAM will be lost if the power goes off. So to prevent this type of problems, we are provided a computer with a UPS, which is also abbreviated as a uninterrupted power supply. That is continuous power supply we used to say. And that means how it will be used to uninterruptedly, how it will be provides a power to the computer in the sense it will, when the power is on, general power is on, UPS gets charged. And at the time of power losses, it will uninterruptedly, it will supply the power to the computer. And we have the two different types in a UPS. One is a online UPS and another one is a standby UPS. Just we have one difference between these two different types of UPS. That means when compared to the online UPS, or come with the explanation of online UPS, just this UPS providing continuous current supply or electrical supply to your computer even the power is on. When this online UPS providing the supply of a current to your computer system even the power is on, and it will not let your computer to goes off if the power is goes off. It will makes it to stay away from the power losses, and that makes you to save the data of your RAM or else volatile memories, any type of volatile memories. It will provides the safer of data in your RAM and the volatile memories. And when you come with the standby UPS, it is also called as the offline UPS. It means offline UPS means it will not provide a continuous current supply to the computer when the power is on. When the power is on, this standby UPS does not work. Just it will charges itself. It will get the charges itself and does not connect to the computer. When the power goes off, it will switch on. The standby UPS switched on. When the power goes off, it will take around a milliseconds to get on and provide a current to the computer system, and these milliseconds makes the volatile data will get lost. This is the one thing about the online UPS and the standby UPS. This is about a power supply of your computer system. One is a SMPS and another one is a UPS. These both are important for your examination view. This is a important one, and the abbreviation for these two abbreviations are also important for the point of view of a competitive exams. For the competitive exams, these abbreviations are very important, where XMPS expanded as a switched mode power supply and UPS is an uninterrupted power supply. This is about a power supply to your computer system. And last topic is assembling a computer system is there. There is no explanation needed for the assembling of a computer system for you, even though just I am explaining assembling of a computer system. And this assembling a computer system refers to just connection to be made for the computer system, where central thing in assembling a computer system is a CPU, and for which CPU you are providing the input devices to be gets connected, and the output devices and input devices to be connected with the CPU. This will be done by the different ports and the buses. And you know what do you mean by the ports and the buses? These ports will be the expansions on the motherboard, and these buses are nothing but a parallel wires which is to be connected to the CPU with the input devices as well as the output devices. Nowadays we are getting the different types of ports, for example AGP, PCI and USB, to connecting different types of input as well as output devices. This assembling of a computer system refers to the just connections made for the different component of a computer system. This will be completes your typical configurations of the computer chapter. Typical configurations of computer system. This class will make the completion of this chapter. We will meet in the next section with the new chapter. Thank you.